It's called Donald Kent is Live once again in the studio. And I am working on a new page of Militia Man. So this is interesting because this is a what's called a two-page spread. And you can kind of see it's actually two pages that are connected into one gigantic page, if you will. So it's one of those things in comics that they have, which is pretty cool. It just when you have like a big fight scene or something really dramatic happening, then you do this. So this is what I'm doing. Like it or lump it. Anyway, stupidly, I did not prepare the music. I use my other computer. I'm broadcasting from my phone here, so I would have my other computer over here to play some tunes on it. But I could probably run over and get it, I guess. Ooh, that's much too thick. No can do. Let's try again. Because it's just nice to have some tunes going on in the background. Or I could sing. You guys want me to sing for you? Um, I was talking to Lord Wolfshield the other day. He's our resident filmmaker in the White Art Collective, and also musician songwriter as well. One of the OG crew, and I was going to be on one of his shows. He did a show recently that was just like a movie show, like movie night, hang out with friends and banter while we watch a funny movie, and I kind of got the message wrong about what time or whatever, so I had to leave early. But anyway, in the course of our conversation, he was asking me when am I going to put out more music, because he every year he puts out something called Fedora Favorites, which is a compilation of music from the white identity cultural sphere. And I've had one of my songs, excuse me, on one of those editions. Was I think Someday Is Today, and yeah, and so I'm kind of thinking, geez, man, this is like a goal. I need to get some more music out so that I can get it on Fedora Favorites for next year or something. Um, yeah, so like it's always an issue of like recording. Like I can just record off of my computer's microphone and it sound like crap. You know? That'd be like recording into a tape recorder or something. Like I don't know if you guys know what cassettes are, what generation you're from. But it's meh, it's quality is quite bad. I've done it, you know, but I'd rather have some nice quality recording. That's the bane of my existence right there. Um, so I got a buddy who has access to some recording equipment. I have another buddy who does recording as well, but he's he's not on board with my politics, put it that way. So you can kind of fill in the blanks there with that. Um, I can remember he recorded one of my songs, which is like white positive music, and him just like mentioning like, well, I'm really not on board with the message here, but the song is so damn good. So like musically, it's really good. Anyway, la la la. Um, so whatever, that's a thing. I've gotta figure that out though, because I actually have a whole bunch of new songs in progress, and they're really nice songs. I'm really, really, really happy about them. Um, ah, Frustrating. Should I do like crowdfunders? Should I be doing like, whatever fundraisers to get, say, musical recording equipment? I'm one of these people that feels like guilty for taking money from people. I'm always like ashamed to do that, but at the same time, I've got people that want to donate Bitcoin to me and they want to support what I do. So maybe I shouldn't be so stupid. Let's say hello to the new folks in the chat. I'm super, super happy to meet you, Moist Electricity. These nuts, bro. That's right. What a great name, Moist. Oh, Moist Electricity. That's cool. That'd be like a name of a band or something. Maybe we should start a band. Our hit single will obviously be These Nuts. Macklin Steele's here. Hi, I'm new. Welcome, Macklin. Are you into the arts? Are you into comic books? I kind of maybe give you guys a tiny show of some of my artwork so you know just what you're getting into here. This is my book, Imperium Calling. I do many kinds of art other than just comics. Rispy is here, pre-recorded. Not sure what you mean by pre-recorded. Pluto is here. Welcome, welcome to everyone. Pluto, are you in a relationship? Fascinating question. I'll get back to that. Macklin Steele says, "Can I please have a shout out?" Shout out to Macklin Steele. How's that? Is that good? You can like dub that into your next song, like drum and bass song or something. Be real weird and cool. So am I in a relationship? No, I am single as single can be. I go clubbing a lot though. And I remember there's this one girl that, you know, I, I'm not trying to, I don't know how to say this. Like, it's one of these situations where she's really into me, but I wasn't into her. And she was like, "You're the most single guy out here." I just remember, like, what a funny thing to say. You're the most single guy out here. Um, anyway, here's some of my artwork from my book. That's a curious question, Pluto. Why are you asking if I'm single? I'm wondering where is this going? So anyway, there's some work, some of my artwork here in my book for your pleasure, your viewing pleasure. Yes, I do caricature portraits, and then also I can do realistic portraits, as you see here. I've done magazine covers, book covers, and the like. It's a wonderful world of the freelancer, you see, doing all sorts of lovely work for money, but also portraits of my friends and family and loved ones. La di da da. So that's what it is, and there you go, lad. So what's this one right here? Oh, that one's a little too much. How about a little bit of comic book action there? Wildo. So what do you guys think? What do you think of Imperium Calling, the art and poetry of Donald Kent? Does that seem like I don't know? You tell me. I'm gonna get back to work. If you snoop around this channel, you'll see a lot of live art streams. It's something I've been doing a lot of. I used to do a lot of shows, where you have people on, celebrities of a sort, and you interview them and talk about cool stuff and hopefully make an impact on the world. I'm one of these crazy guys that thinks he can save the world. Total insanity. Or die trying. That's the mission. So, what's new with you guys? What's shaking out in your world here? Rispy, Macklin, and the rest of you lot. What are you doing on this fine evening? See, this is where it'd be nice to have some tunes in the background, like I usually have. But I believe I should. Well, maybe I should grab it. I generally don't like to leave the camera, just because it's like a radio when you like dead air is what they call it. When there's nobody talking and it's just silence. I don't think if you've got a YouTube show, you shouldn't leave it just silent. So I tend to yammer. But these shows have a lot of friends and fans that come pretty regularly. And then we all are on the same page with whatever politics and culture and stuff. And so, when everybody kind of has the same way of thinking or the same knowledge base and the same values, etc., then it's pretty easy to talk about all kinds of different stuff. Let's see, chilling, just chilling. Hey, Kyra Mackey is here. Welcome, Kyra. How we doing today? A quick question for you guys as well. How did you find this channel? Was it one of those algorithm thingies where it just, YouTube just popped it up in front of you and said, "Hey, yo, check this out"? Or were you frantically looking for an amazing artist dude who is super funny and charming and spiritual and political and on the edge of culture? And sorry, I'm being a little bombastic. Um, it's like, but yeah, I'd like to get to know you guys too. What's shaking in your world? Do you like to check out art channels or any of you artists? A lot of time I get people visiting who are aspiring artists. If you are, then um, there's other videos on this channel where I'm teaching how to draw, and you might find that informative. Um, I'm really intrigued with this question of, are you in a relationship? I mean, that's a quite an opener. Like, this is kind of a personal question straight out of the gate. For like you know the show here. As I said, I'm not. I guess I've got a lot of irons in the fire, is what you would say. You know what I mean by that? Like, I just got off the phone with a lovely young lady who I really, really vibe with. I really see that turning more into a friendship. I don't think um, it's just the right kind of thing to do, I guess, in that case. Like, I just feel like it is what it is. And then a lot of people are sort of not always in a right place to be in a relationship. Maybe they're going through some shit or something, and it's just better to be kind of like, you know, be friends for a while and hang tight, be there, as they're going through their stuff. Um, let's see. I would describe myself though as like a kind of a hopeless romantic, which is it's not like a great thing to be. I got to be honest with you. Um, just it's I don't know. It's weird. I mean, there's a lot of talk about relationships these days, and all kinds of relationship gurus out there. There's a lot, and at least in my algorithm, there's a lot of pessimism. There's a lot of people that are kind of like, you know, talking about how relationships work or don't work and why and this and that. Yeah. You just try to see what you can get from it, what you can learn from it, and see how it applies to your life. I think one of the most important things, though, is to have a sense of reading people so that you're not getting, like used and abused in a way. There's a good bit of that stuff out there, and that's not cool. So you got to have your wits about you, as they say. Um, yeah, that's a thing. I'm wondering, what does pre-recorded mean, Rispy? I'm I'm a live guy. I do live shows. I have done pre-recorded shows. I've used to also be the co-host of other shows that were pre-recorded. And a lot of times with the pre-recorded stuff, it's because we want to do some editing and add in graphics of some kind, or maybe music, um, various things of that nature. Various things of that nature. You guys have got any questions for me? What is your favorite color? Anybody see Nosferatu? I just saw that recently, like 2 nights ago. Can I please have anybody read that stuff? So I highly recommend it. It's a brilliant film. I'm having like a big film nerd fight about it with one of my friends who didn't like it, and I don't know what to say about that. You guys can draw your own conclusions. I recognize that the film isn't like for everyone. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but I think that you can't argue that it's not a work of art. It's truly a beautiful, beautiful work of art. Gothic horror, the classic theme of Nosferatu, um, amazing cast, the sets and the sort of kind of effects or whatever, the style of it. It's highly stylistic, um, in the best way, in the best meaning of the word. Um, I just love period pieces. I'm a huge, period pieces guy. I like to watch movies that feel like you're in another time period in another country. Um, I was shocked to find out that the lead actress is not English because her accent and her performance was extraordinary. It was like stellar. I think if she doesn't get an award for her performance, then something's wrong with the world. Of course, there's a lot wrong with the world anyway, so we already know that, I guess. But what else can I tell you? Um, I would totally go see it again. What was weird is that, it's funny you were asking if I'm not signal, single, and I was the only like single guy in the whole place. There was all couples in there, which was slightly awkward, I think, for me, just like slightly. It seemed there was. You're not going to believe this. Check this out. I got there a little bit early. I'm just sitting, kind of fooling around on my phone, waiting for the movie to start. And a couple pulls up, and they're sitting down in the seat in front of me. So you could tell that the woman didn't really want to see the movie. She was like stressed out. I think she was scared. I think she thought like, oh, this is going to be a really scary horror movie, and she was nervous or something. And she's one of these kind of like blabbermouthy type ladies that can't sort of control her mouth. And she looks at me and says, who would come to this movie alone? Only an absolute psychopath. Can you imagine that? Can you freaking imagine that? And I'm like, you're obviously talking to me. And so in my calm, cool, and collected manner, I look at her and I say, the director is a genius. And I totally reframe the situation, you know, to be more socially palatable. Because like that was a hell of a thing to say. I mean, there's a sense of like joking that she wasn't really sincere about that. She was, and I kind of see what she means. Like, why would you come to this movie alone, in a sense? But that's her perspective. As for myself, I like art. I like good art. I like good film. I don't think I'd say I'm a film snob, but you know, it's it's rare that there's really, really, really good films out there. There's a lot of entertainment, but like something that's truly artistic is actually pretty hard to find. And this film is highly artistic, so strongly recommend it. Of course, it's gory and in places, just scary and a bit disturbing in some places. But and I think my friends want to know like what's the subtext? Like, is there a sort of a statement being made in the film? Any kind of like degenerate coding, meaning, stuff like that. And I really wouldn't say arguably no, I don't really feel that there is. Which is refreshing because so much of film has like cultural Marxist propaganda baked into it, which I despise. And when you know what you're looking at, when you know what that is, it's you see it everywhere. Once you're like plugged in, it's kind of like a matrix type thing. Um but yeah, so this was pretty refreshing, as regards that, I'm happy to say. Um so what else? You guys are pretty quiet in the chat. Usually the chat is very active. Um Let me ask you guys a controversial question. If you're up for a controversial question, write hi in the chat, just so that I know that I'm not talking into the abyss here. I'll give you a minute to do that. So I'm not seeing anything, which means there's really not a lot of engagement. So I'll keep my hat on regarding that one. Um, but I'm always doing sort of like social research. I like to see. It's kind of like taking a poll, where you ask people a question and get a sense of, within this group, what is the predominant opinion on X. Hello, Donald. Eagle Pax Max is back. Yeah. And oh my God, oh, Hippocratic Oath is here. I keep missing these shows. I'm cooking my meals. You son of a gun. Um, when are you actually going to come on the show with me, bro? That's what we need to do, my bro. Um, so I have a ton of new people in the chat. If you look above there, you'll see. And I was just about to ask them, you know, what do you think about whites becoming a minority in our own countries in the next, say, 5 years? And I don't know. I think they're more in the passive mode. They're more in the like, let's just chill and watch. I don't know that they want to really engage. But I think that's a good question to ask. What does he say? What does he say? My in-laws just left. I'm catching up on everything. I guess the most I can say is it's scary. So I appreciate your answering the question there. Um, to me, the only answer really is that we have to start preparing and collectivizing. So that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it's sort of like if you knew a storm is coming. I don't know where you guys live. If it's north, south, east, west. Let's say you're in Florida and you know that a hurricane's coming. What do? Do you just kind of hang out and just watch TV? Maybe get an extra six pack of beer and feed the crocodiles or something. No, you fucking get ready for you know a huge storm. And that's what is coming. So that's why we have to talk about this. It's an uncomfortable thing for some people to talk about. I'm not uncomfortable with it, but people are going to need to start getting comfortable with it. I don't know why it's so awkward for people. Um, Hippocratic Oath says I think most people are in denial. Um, I think there's a number of forces at play. I would say the first predominant reason for people to not want to think or talk about it is because they're afraid of social repercussions. They're afraid of looking weird and being like ostracized from their friends and family. That is a really, really, really powerful force, um, especially among whites, unfortunately. Um, and it's just something we've got to get over. Like, we don't, you know, I respect it. I'm not saying, like, whatever. I get how people feel about that, but that doesn't change the fact that we still have to talk about it. So then that becomes more of a like, well, then we got to normalize it. You know what I mean? And that's what people like me do is we talk about shit that's important to normalize it, to get it out there in the ether, and in the internets. And I'm always kind of looking at like how can it how can it I make it something that's easy to talk about. But so we've got like there's the online world of different cultures and people who are like shitlords, and that's a definite culture. And I think to a normie that's probably a little on the radical side, or obscure, or they don't quite get it. Maybe they believe what CNN says about it or something, and they can't they just can't vibe with it for some reason. um Maybe they're afraid. I don't know. Or maybe it's just like alien to them. You know what I mean? Whereas, like, there's been many occasions where I would be in a situation where I'm just talking to people in like a work type environment, and some of them, or a bar, just ordinary people, and then I'll bring up something about like immigration, or uh, diversity or anti-white something or other. And when you start that conversation, people jump right in. It's like they just need someone to break the ice. That's been my experience. So my thinking then is that like people are ready, they're ready to go there. Um, they just kind of need a leader. They need someone to, you know, lead the discussion. You know, have the courage and wisdom and knowledge of how to talk about it intelligently. And then once you do, then it allows people to vent their anger, their frustration, their fear. And it's not just like dudes. I mean, I've talked to like old ladies about this in the supermarket. um, People know what's going on. They see the changes and they're scared, but they don't know what to do or how to fix it. So we got to at least start talking. You know what I'm saying? Now normies are just trying to get by. That is the primary force out there. Is just like, I just want to pay my bills. I just want to, get by. I'm just trying to survive. I don't want to be part of a movement, or I don't believe anything is can change. Da 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 da. The system sucks. Blah, 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 complain, complain, and then just drink beer and watch football. It's 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 escapism. It's like it's a loser life, to be honest with you. I don't blame them for how they feel, because it's tough out there. But that's where the leadership comes in. We gotta be leaders to each other. Oh, isn't it nice? So, what are we doing? Sanity is a victory for normies. Sanity. That's a very interesting thing to say. So, wow, that opens up a kind of a can of worms there, because especially under Biden, like, has there been any sanity? Like, everything is just become so insane. Like, I noticed this year when I was Christmas shopping, like how depressed and defeated everybody seemed. There was no Christmas spirit in the air. It was just like slog. Everyone was just slogging by, and you could really, really feel how demoralized and downtrodden uh, common people are now. It's really sad and tough to see. So my feeling is that like we need some kind of activity of some sort that could bring us alive again, and give us a sense of self. To be honest, I think church does that for a lot of people. Um, there's different kinds of people out there, people that volunteer or are involved in various, things like that. But yeah, I just feel like we need some kind of meaningful activity to rally around that's not sports. I think of sports as, how would I put it? It's like it redirects all of our nationalist energy into something pointless and banal, um, and it makes us ineffectual in the end. We're rooting for multimillionaires that many of which just like grew up in a ghetto, and like have no, they're just druggies and rapists and stuff. But since they play football, oh my God, they're cultural heroes. This guy who I don't know at all and doesn't give a shit about me represents me. No, he doesn't. I don't know. I have a massive axe to grind with football. I feel like it's like, I feel like it dumbs people down. Um, I'm not very well liked for my opinions on sports, but I'm also not going to edit it. I'm going to say tough shit. You're going to have to eat it. Um, I think I've had some people say to me like, "Oh yeah, but you're missing that. Sports do a lot of good for talk talk talk." And I feel like that's true in on like the for kids in school and stuff. But the industry of professional sports, I have no respect for. Uh, let's see. Eagle says, "You mentioned church. I was just curious, what do you think of the Stone Choir podcast?" I am very sad to say that I don't know that podcast, and you can certainly leave a link. I would appreciate it if you would. Could you tell me more about that podcast? What's it about? I assume it's probably a Christian podcast, maybe. Um, when I go to work and I'm driving around or whatever, I'm kind of flipping around stations and stuff. I hear a lot of Christian radio. I mean, we seem to have a lot of Christian radio stations where I live. And occasionally, depending on who's talking and what they're talking about, I'll tune in for a while and vibe with it. Again, it has to do with like whatever the particular theme is. Um, and it can be really, really beautiful and really inspiring. And then other times it's like superstitious Jewish propaganda stuff that like I hate. But let's move on. What do we got here? It's a Stone Choir podcast. It's Christian. It's hosted by Corey and Woe. They are like us in political thought. Ooh, that's great to hear. I'll try to leave a link for their channel on YouTube. I'd appreciate that. And Eagle, thank you very much. Um, Christianity is one of those really, really hot potato topics that I don't avoid it, but I'm careful about it because I know there's a lot of Christians in my audience. I'm very close friends with a lot of devout Christians. Thanks for the link there, big guy. And but I do have my own personal experience of that. I'll just tell you a little story. So I'm on Instagram. I'm cruising around, checking out stuff, this and that, and I see a post of a woman who does remote viewing, and I think she works or maybe worked for the government, but she's like a legit remote viewing person. And the guy is asking her questions, and he says, "Have you ever remote viewed the crucifixion?" And her reaction was really, really bad. Like she looked terrified and didn't know what to say and choked. Like she choked really, really hard on this question. And she looked scared. She genuinely looked like she was in danger. And that was a very bad sign. It was a very huge red flag. So I went in there and I'm like, okay, I've studied this to some extent, and I've heard other people who do or have done remote viewing say that um, Jesus wasn't actually on the cross. There was somebody else there that took his place so that he could escape. Um, and then that's like as much as I'll say on that. I said more on the actual post, but that's the gist of it. Whoa, boy, did I cause a ruckus! So I got a massive blast of blasphemy, and demonic, something, something, blah 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 blah. People lost their shit, and I don't like. I was like, you know what? I don't have a dog in this fight. All I'm doing is like passing on information. I'm not trying to, change your mind or preach anything to you. I'm literally just telling you what I've seen on this topic, you know. And then that just kept like laying into me, like dogpiling me, which is fine. And because it's like I don't take it personally. Um, what else? Let's read on the comments. Eagle says, the one thing I will just add is I had all but given up on Christianity, but after I listened to Stone Choir, it made me give Christianity a second chance. I first heard about them on the show Myth of the 20th Century. Well, I'm looking forward to listening to them now, and I appreciate you're bringing this to my attention. I'm a seeker, you know, um, and I seek the truth, and so I love to find out new things or things that challenge my current beliefs. I just want to know the truth. That's it. It's not too much to ask. So, but I was mentioning in there that like I don't believe that the resurrection is literal. I think it's symbolic, and this is kind of a Gnostic view, I guess, if you will. Um, I might be wrong. I'm not saying I'm right, but like there's reasons why I think that way, and I could get into that. Um, I guess one of to for me, what I would say is like the one thing that turned me off the most about Christianity are Christians themselves. I've had so many Christians just say or do things that were like, wow, if this is what that is, then like I don't want to be like you. That sounds horrible to say that, but like um eh, you know, and that's actually a very unfair assessment, because it's not like these people are not perfect. They're just people, like anyone, and whatever. Like they have their flaws and this and that, and you sort of can't judge a religion on that. And I don't. I do my research. I've done like years and years of research. Um, and there's quite a lot there. So, but again, it's such a hot potato that I think maybe that's the most of what I need to say about that for now. But once again, I do appreciate the info. Mucho thank you. Um, one idea that I've been kind of playing with, I guess, is the thought that somehow, and this might be science fiction, but I think that this, just hear me out. Let me finish this thought. So, that if enough people believe in something, it will manifest itself as truth. If enough people believe in a thing, it will manifest itself as truth. So think about all the many like historic lies that people live under. And that is the truth of their reality of that's who they think they are. And it's all perception, you see. And when so many people believe in that same perception, then it's true to the extent that it's I don't know, there's a gray line there. There's a bit of a gray line. So is it hard truth? Is it a hey Chatelet Flash, good to see you, bro? um I'm a guy that's like data driven. I want to show me the data. That's my my go-to. you know Show me the data. um and then in many cases the data is just like so many different data points that you have to draw the line, so to speak, in between, and come up with uh so like based on all these points I have reason to believe that X. Um, so it's like so. But, I think this notion that oh, if you disagree or you don't say anything that fits with scripture, then it's automatically from the devil is the most like cultish, closed-minded. You're There should be a name for that type of thinking where like if you don't agree with me, then it's the devil, like every time, and I'm like, that's just madness, guys. That's just madness. Like, I can't have like a rational conversation with people that's like the extent of their intellect. um I don't even know if you can see what I'm drawing here. What do we got? Oaf says that's why we have halftime shows. They are ceremonies that require many eyes on them. So, speaking of eyes, mine are getting droopy because it's late. I got a real late start and I have to work tomorrow. Hey, so we're just getting started on the hot topics, and I'm like, I gotta go to bed. Um, Unless you guys have anything to contribute to this m- amazing conversation that I'm dazzling you with. Um, Here's my thing though, like I'm right for now, I guess I'm really in the state of mind that like I think of Christianity as a Jewish psyop. I think of like Paul, like here's a guy that lived, how many years after the birth of Christ, like more than 100 years or something. And would you say that Christianity would exist if it weren't for Paul? Um yeah, yeah, you see where I'm going with that. Like that's And then there's things like, where in the Bible does Jesus say things like, we should have nuns and priests and, the Holy Roman Church and all this other stuff. Not only that, there's so much, pardon me, if you know anything about Mithra, from Persia, there's so much in the sort of creation story of Mithra that is in Christianity, and of course, it predates Christianity, so it's highly suspicious, in the sense of like, how could they have exactly the same creation stories and they're different religions by centuries, and location. There's the whole Constantine side of the question, like, is you know Rome already had, gosh, how many indigenous religions, but then suddenly, oh no, no, we're the state religion is Christianity, and then think about like all the people that died and went under the sword, because they weren't Christian or whatever, like they didn't accept it. That to me is Islam, basically. You know what I'm saying? Um, Eagle says, "Well, I will just about the Stone Choir guys. They are not normal Christians. Amen. Everything other Christians say. Chris Corey, the main host of Stone Choir, is not only very critical of Paul's relatives, but Corey's also a fan of our favorite uncle." Yes. See, now there's the flip side of it, is that Christianity is so deeply embedded into our history and our culture that you can't like surgically remove it. I mean, it's so that's to me a troubling issue. The Spaniards found that the Mayans already knew about the seven sacraments. So stuff like this fascinates me. Now, I'll just say straight up, like, I'm really only interested in the esoteric stuff. Like, what is the teaching? What do I do? What do I do? And like, my thinking is that I think of Christ as a Buddha. I think of him as like, it's not worship me, it's be like me. Learn how to be Christ, like to trigger or open the Christ force within yourself. And I'm well aware that that's like a heretical Gnostic view. But that is my view. That literally is how I view the teachings of Christ. But they seem so deeply buried in all this like mumbo jumbo and like symbolism and Jewish desert babble. I'm not a Jew. Why would I worship a Jew? Why wouldn't I follow the indigenous religions of my people? Does this make sense? Um, you mentioned the Austrian painter and Donald wakes up. Yep, that's that's all it takes, guys. That's all it takes. Um, Unfortunately, I grow very weary at the moment. I had a really long day, and I have an even longer day tomorrow, which is I'm a little like, ugh, I'm not looking forward to it. You ever have that, when before you go into work, like it's going to be a fucking long day? That's like the feeling I have right now. Maybe I better pray on it. But I have a relationship with Christ, and I pray to Jesus, but I do it in my own way. Is it right? Is it wrong? Tough question. Tough question. Well, if Atlantis fell and they went east and west, I think those traditions came with them. You got there's another rabbit hole to go down right there, but I feel really bad that I got to cut it short here. But I'm sorry, gents, ladies and gents, I am going to have to say good night. I do stream. I'm trying to stream like almost every night. I'm obviously not going to do it every night. I go out some nights, too tired other nights, whatever. But stick around, come on back, subscribe, share with your friends and your networks. Above all, look at my other videos, my other shows on this channel. Guten Abend. Thank you. I learned some German. And good night to you, Mr. Eagle Pax Max. All right, gang. Take care, and we'll see you on the flip side.